Well, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone listening. Today, my guest is Mr. Lenny Wood, someone who I have known for a brief moment. So, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with me on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Um, so, I know that you are a very expert marketer with over 29,000 hours of experience under your belt that you bring to the table for your clients. But maybe for people who don't know you, give us a little intro to you and what the business does.
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Lenny Wood. I've been working for several European corporates in various marketing positions over the last 18 years or so, hence the 29,000 hours. And I now run my own company called Marketing Outsource Limited. We're an on-demand marketing service providing access to marketing, planning, tool skills and experience, but without the ongoing cost and responsibility associated with a permanent employee.
Excellent stuff. So you say we? Is it just you, or is it a group of individuals?
So it is just the company itself is just me, but I've spent the last I've been the company's been going 3.5 years, and the
Hmm.
first year was very much the typical first year, which is scramble, scramble, get the business, do it yourself, make sure that you survive. But then after that, I realised that you can't. That's not a really good model to
Hmm.
grow a business. So I started to engage with lots of freelancers. So now I have a big old pool of freelancers, trusted freelancers that I've used for a long time now. And the we is all of us together. So basically, whatever the project requires, I know somebody who can do it, and we sort of just pull together and deliver the projects that way.
Oh, that's amazing. So you can sort of dial it up, dial it down as you need.
That's right, exactly. And the good thing about that, what I love about that, is that obviously there's no employees happening anywhere there, so there's no retained employees, which means that you can be a lot more flexible. And also the part that I like about it is that kind of like I'm building my dream, and I can help other people do that as well.
Hmm.
By passing them work, bring them together into a team, we can all kind of achieve what it is that we're trying to achieve together.
Fantastic. I love that. I think dive in straight at the deep end because you mentioned building your dream,
Mm,
and I think this is that sentiment may be something which resonates with a lot of people who are self-employed.
sure.
If you cast your mind back 3 odd years,
Hmm.
what was the dream?
Well, I mean, the dream. So I'd been thinking about starting a business for a long, long time. Not a lot of people, I think.
Mm,
Probably I don't know, maybe 5+ years before I actually did it. And so I think what was really handy is that I already had a lot of groundwork in place. So without actually starting a business, I'd done quite a lot of the things that you need to do to start a business without actually doing it. Because obviously everybody's a bit the big scary part is jumping off your salary on a Friday and then starting on Monday at zero. That's the scary part, the transition that people have to make. Now, luckily or unluckily, I don't know. I'll let you decide. COVID was the driver for me. So basically, I was working for a Swiss email marketing company at the time, and then COVID kicked in, and like a lot of large companies, they realised very quickly that they could get the government to pay all of their wages for them, or the majority of their wages for them. So they furloughed people. That was their first response was, it makes sense to furlough some people, well, most people. And so that happened to me. And my direct boss at the time said, um, this is a horrible situation for me as well because I have to furlough all these, 90% of the staff. But the company, on the other hand, is saying, can you please keep the company open and keep trading without any of the skilled people that actually help you do that? So as soon as he said that, that was light bulb moment, and I thought, oh well, interesting. I wonder how many other people are in that boat. And turns out most people were in that boat.
Yeah.
So that, that part was easier for me because I thought, well, now is the chance. So, a lot of people talk about luck, and I think, the definition of luck is opportunity meets preparation. So I had done the prep, and the opportunity presented itself, so I just gave it a go. And all of the moons aligned. I don't know how many moons there were. There must have been quite a few, and they all and they all aligned at the same time. And
Yeah.
and that's it, off and running. And my initial hook was, are you running a business but you've lost all your skilled staff? And I knew, obviously, from being in several businesses, I knew that bottom line salary and marketing budget are two very different things. Bottom line salary is coming out of your accounts month in, month out. You have to, you have to spend it. Whereas with marketing budget, it's a ring fenced amount of money that's already been accounted for that you can dip into to pay for services like mine. And so you put all of that together, and that got me through the first year, basically.
Very interesting. So you had a strategic overview of how you were starting.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, but
interesting.
that strategic overview was kind of like, it was not initially not planned. It was just circumstance. So
Mm,
things were happening around me, and I was like, oh, there's an opportunity, a niche to go after here.
yeah.
Um, and so that's what allowed me to get it off the ground in the first year.
Awesome. And here you are today.
Yeah, still here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. The hook has changed. So as soon as COVID went away, obviously that hook didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So the hook that I now use, well, it's not a hook. It's what it is on demand marketing. And basically, what that is in a nutshell is you can just plug us into your company on a monthly rolling contract to do whatever you need done on the marketing side of the business. So it's great for all kinds of businesses. If you haven't got a marketing function, no problem. If you do, but you've got someone on long-term sick, maternity, whatever the scenario, you can just plug us in for the amount of time that you need us for, and then when we're done, we're done.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very
So,
interesting.
and that seems to be quite a popular approach. So yeah, that's the main strategy now for the company.
Excellent. So you say that it's quite a popular approach.
Hmm.
Speak to that for a second. So obviously you came from a time when you saw the opportunity, businesses furloughing off staff, but they
Mhm.
still needed to keep going.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and you spotted that opportunity to create something to fill a gap.
Yes.
Now that kind of service has grown in popularity.
Yes.
What does the landscape look like?
Well, it's interesting because it seems that I might, again, we could call it luck or we could call it being prepared and there's an opportunity, but it seems like because we're in quite turbulent times, and you don't, a lot of people don't know personally, and even from a business point of view, what's going to happen from well, I say 1 year to the next, in some cases 1 month to the next. And so I've seen a rise in popularity of outsourcing,
Mm,
because you don't have to, to invest in an employee is expensive and time
yes.
consuming. Yeah, so recruitment costs are not insignificant. Then you've got onboarding, you've got technology that you've got to provide, tools, training. Then you've got a settling in period, and then once all of that's done, if everything went well, you've then got holiday, sickness, um, pension contributions, national insurance, all of that stuff. You total all that up, it's a lot of money.
Mm,
Um, and I think businesses of all sizes are now starting to see the benefits of bringing in people on my offering, which is, you've got a project, bring us in, we do it, then we go away until you need us again.
absolutely.
And luckily for me, I think that seems to be the general mindset of an awful lot of companies now.
That's interesting. I mean, as a creative expert, I would put you in that bucket. Absolutely. I think,
Mm.
I have expertise in creative spaces, and I know a lot of our peers do as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
how does it feel as a creative expert that maybe opportunities are being created outside of companies for people who have taken the leap into self-employment, but maybe the opportunities are being reduced for people who aren't ready to do that, who are still looking for the jobs?
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer, and I think really it comes down to that whole thing of people don't like change. Not
Mm-hmm.
all people, but I mean, it's a
Yeah.
generality, isn't it? It's the majority of people don't like change,
Yeah.
and I think we live in a time of rapid change,
Yeah.
and I think I'm lucky again. Okay, I keep using that word luck, but I think I'm fortunate to be a Gen Xer. So
Yeah.
I was born in a pre-technological age, and I've grown up with the advent of technology, the internet. I've watched Moore's Law, where the power of technology doubles every year. I've watched it
Yeah.
unfold. I read something last week, and I'm not going to quote it exactly, but roughly speaking, the amount of change that we experience in about a 30-year period at the moment, by the time we reach about 55, 60, that rate of change will happen in 6 days. And so if you're
Okay.
not in the change mindset, you're just going to get left behind, or you're going to get left with the least of the opportunities,
Mm.
I think. And I think that's bore out as well over the last 5 or 10 years with the onset of the side hustle. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's a big phenomenon. It kind of sprung up with the gig economy. They're different things, but the
Mm-hmm.
side hustle, in essence, is, I think, first of all, it was for people like me who wanted to start a business and thought the only way in is to do a side hustle and then make
Yeah.
it your job. But I think nowadays, because of the cost of living crisis and the whole world basically being on fire, I think people feel like they need more than one income.
Yeah.
And they're right, they do. Even me sitting here now running a business, I've got my eye on 5 streams of income, because if one collapses, then you need to be able to fall back onto another one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think people
Absolutely.
and I think people that are in a mindset of I'll get a job and I'll work that job for my whole life doesn't exist anymore.
I would be inclined to agree.
Yeah,
Very
and I,
much
and
so.
I think and I think one of the great myths of employment is that your salary is safe. So
Mm.
if you get 2 options, you can either be self-employed and shoot for your dreams, or you can work for a company with a salary, be nice and safe, and then sit out to retirement. I don't think option 2 exists anymore.
No. I just to speak to that, I think we are, being in the UK, both of us, I think we are quite fortunate that there are safeguards around releasing people from employment.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas I know in other countries, you could rock up to your job on a Monday
Hmm.
and be out of the door again by 9:15, not having a
Yes.
job anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, even though I think that the the rate of change when it comes to the stability of employment is rapid,
Hmm.
I think at least we are in this country, at least, still in quite a fortunate position that you're not going to get binned off by 9:15.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it depends. If you
Well,
work in the gig economy, you might.
well, this is true, and I think this definitely comes down to a labeling thing,
Mm.
because so you mentioned gig economy, side hustles,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff, um, and I'm going to loop in self-employment, freelancer, consultant, contractor, all those things
Yeah,
into these
anything
buckets,
that
right?
isn't an employee. Yeah.
Anything that isn't an employee.
Mm.
And how does, as somebody who is self-employed, how does that kind of the custom of labeling things
Mm.
resonate with you? And I shouldn't stack questions, but I'm gonna. So
Yeah, sure.
how does that resonate with you? And maybe how did that, or how is that influencing how you talk about your business to people who might employ you?
You mean the labelling of what it
Yeah,
is?
the labeling of what it is, because yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm always very transparent. with all of my clients or potential clients that it's just me.
Hmm.
And then I have a little black book, which nowadays is a spreadsheet or a CRM
Yep.
of people that I work with that I've vetted, and I know that they're very good, and equally they're better at whatever the thing is than I am. So, building out from the first year, I did everything myself. It's impossible to keep
Yeah.
up with all the trends in all of the different things. And I realised very quickly, you bring in people that are experts and they live that skill day in, day out. Perfect. So being transparent and upfront and saying, look, you're bringing us in as an outsourced resource, but we are outsourcing ourselves
Yep.
for individual skills. But I always promote it as what it is, which is a huge benefit, because you're getting the best of what's available. Yeah.
Yep.
So I could almost, if I wanted, I could almost spin that an employee is actually the worst of what's available, because they don't have to show up every day. Like, not physically, but I mean, show up and do stuff. So, as a salaried employee, you could turn up Monday to Friday and you could easily do nothing on Thursday and nobody would notice.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I feel
and
you.
also self-improvement within a business is down to the business, not the individual.
Hmm.
In many cases. So, the business drives training and improvement, and, whether or not you get to go on courses or take certification or what, it's usually business driven. Whereas people like me and the people that I work with, freelancers, etc., all are self-motivated, driven people that do that without anyone having to prompt them to do it.
Absolutely.
So if I was to be asked, would you prefer a employee or would you prefer a freelancer or a side hustler or or whatever it is, I would never choose the employee.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned motivation,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that is one of the most common traits of anyone who either is working for themselves or is thinking about it, is they are just motivated to do
Yes.
in whatever way they need to do it. They're just motivated to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that, the thing is that even if you take away all of the motivation from wanting to achieve a dream or hit a target or grow a business or whatever, right at the bottom of that pile, before you do anything else, is the motivation to make the money to pay the bills. And that immediately
Yes.
makes you 100% more motivated than an employee who's sitting there going, well, if I do nothing all day, someone's still going to pay me my day rate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then it grows from there.
Yeah. We are responsible for our own sustainability.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's a different kind, and people ask me who are employed, isn't it stressful? And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's a different kind of stress. So my stress is that I need to make a certain amount of money. Yeah. So whatever I'm doing all day, every day, is the ultimate goal, minimum goal, is to get the clients, make the money, and then anything above that is just then, that's in dream territory then.
Yeah.
Whereas for an employee, the stress comes when you're sitting on a Sunday night at 6 o'clock watching Antiques Roadshow, dreading going to work on a Monday morning because you hate it, or you hate the boss, or you hate somebody you work with, or there's some reason that you don't want to go, but you have to.
Yeah.
Because you're trading your time for money, so you have to be somewhere at a certain time.
That's it. That H word, the have to, I think that is one of the biggest things which I talk to my clients about when I work with coachees, is there is no more have to.
That's right. Yeah.
There is no have to. There's no should. There's no must.
No, that's right. And what you're doing is, in the first year of your business, is that you're earning the right to say no.
Yeah.
You're not just making money and getting clients and building a reputation, and you're actually earning the ability to say no. And from the second year onwards, I was in a position, I'm not going to use the luck word again. I'm going to say I was in the fortunate position that I could then pick and choose. So if there was something I didn't want to do, I could say no. Whereas if you work for somebody and they tell you to do something, you got to do it. and that becomes a problem as well. And I've experienced this before in previous jobs, which is that if you fundamentally don't agree with that course of action and you think it's the wrong thing, you still got to do it.
Absolutely.
Um, and then that swings back around to the stress part, which is that you get stressed by your job because you're carrying out work that you don't believe in and you don't think is going to actually achieve anything.
Mm.
So it's interesting that, if you are self-employed, then you get full control over that.
Absolutely. I think there's no greater friction than trying to push against your own moral compass.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. And
It,
again, that's where the different types of stress come in. So it's very easy for someone to say, "Isn't that stressful?" But it's like, yes, it is, but it's different. It's a
yeah,
different kind of stress,
it is.
and one that you got control over as well.
Absolutely. It definitely sits within your sphere.
Yeah, yeah. You
It's
can change it.
You can change it.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Let's talk about challenges
Hmm.
because, when we are self-employed and we've been on the road for more than a couple of years, we've seen our fair share of challenges and things.
Yeah, sure.
What's been the biggest challenge for you since you dove into? I said let's say after year one, because year one is
Hmm.
always a tumultuous time for
Yes.
anybody, so it's not really fair
It
to
is.
think about challenges in that way. But like after you found your feet,
Hmm.
what have you maybe found the biggest challenge on the path so far?
I think the biggest challenge is, well, one of the biggest challenges is time.
Okay.
So year one, as you say, very straightforward. Dive in, find the work, do the work, make the money, build a platform. Then second year, I realised that because I was doing all the work, that there's only a certain number of hours in the day, stroke week, month, and so I could calculate very quickly how much money I could make maximum.
Okay.
Yeah, with me just doing it myself. So then from the second year onwards, I challenged myself to automate the business. So what that means is that was the beginning of the finding trustworthy freelancers, trying them out, kiss a few frogs, etc. Because what it means now is that when I'm out there as a figurehead and a lead generator and all the things that I want to be, when I get the work, I know that it's coming in. I'm having a strategy meeting. I'm introducing the freelancer because again we're transparent. There's no white labeling. We're all work together, and I can 90% hand that task, that project, over to the one or more freelancers who are going to deliver it. So I become more of a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been a challenge, a big challenge for me. But it's one I've forced upon myself, which is going out there, finding the freelancers, using them myself to find out, how good they are, etc. And then also becoming, rather than being the doer, I'm now like the finder. So now I go out and I connect the dots and I find the people and the work and all the rest of it.
Mm.
And that part is actually very difficult, and most people might sit there and say, but you're a marketer, it must be easy. But it's not
Ah,
easy. I know better than most how to do it, but it's still not easy. And so I think that's been a big challenge. So I've been doing that now for about, I reckon I was doing that about halfway through the second year. So I've been doing it for almost a year now. And I'm in a pretty good place. I'm about 80% automated now.
that's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, and that was always, talking about dreams, that was always the dream, was to be able to build a business, automate it, remove myself from the day to day, and then be able to be a figurehead, a lead generator, or focus on something else entirely, build up
Mm.
another stream. That was the goal, really.
How did you know that you could do that?
Do you mean like you don't know what you don't know kind of thing?
Exactly that. Because I
Yeah,
think for people, as you say, we reach a saturation point with our time,
yeah,
money for time. It's a service, boom, done.
yeah.
How did you put yourself into the position then of figurehead and
Mm.
realize that you could automate parts?
So well, the first realization was getting to maximum capacity. So I
Yep.
was maxed out at 40 hours a month,
Yep.
pretty much, of work, then plus up more hours of doing the actual generating part and all the rest of it, right? So then you know that you're at maximum, and then that was the max that I'd ever achieve. Um, I'm not, I like to refer to myself as a solopreneur, not an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I think there's a good big distinction between the two. And I'd never heard of solopreneur until, very recently. And it's basically somebody so an entrepreneur is someone who runs lots of business. Serial entrepreneur runs lots of businesses and is looking to max the revenue from every single business and then sell out and become a multimillionaire, and that's kind of entrepreneur. Whereas a solopreneur is somebody who is working for specific targets, the main one being work-life balance. So, assigning a revenue that allows you to have a good life, but also not to be working 24/7. And as soon as I heard that term and what it meant, I was like, well, that's 100% me.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped. That was a driver. So it was like, well, how do I achieve that? But then equally, I started being asked for certain services of things that I'd never done.
Okay.
So somebody asked me, like, oh, can you do Google Ads? And I'm like, no, never done it before in my life. No idea. But bear with me. Went out, found some people that did it, gave them a go. And then I was able to provide that as a service. And I was like, well, there's no reason why I couldn't do this for everything. Even things that I do know how to do and I'm good at, I don't have to do them. I can get someone who's better at it than I am to carry out for me. And so the idea of solopreneur plus that first experience with outsourcing to somebody else, because initially I was like, I'm the outsourcer, I shouldn't be outsourcing it to anyone else, but actually doing that provides a better outcome for everybody. So you put them all together, and then the benefit of that is that I can reach my revenue target without killing myself.
Absolutely.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like the antithesis of fake it till you make it.
Yes, well, to a degree, yeah. So there was no real faking it, but
No.
there was. I know what you mean, though. It's like almost practicing on the job.
Yes,
If you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I would never encourage somebody to take on a client where the request sits outside of your wheelhouse.
Yes, that's right.
It results in burnout. It results in dissatisfaction. It does not equal fun. And we got into this because we wanted to have fun.
Yes.
Like, work should be fun. We spend enough time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a very pragmatic approach to using your expertise in an alternate way.
Exactly, yeah.
And I mean, you've alluded to this with some other income streams as well.
Yes.
And I think this is something which, when we talk about side hustles, I'm not a big fan of the term side hustle because I believe that everyone can apply their skills in different remits.
Yeah, I think it's a buzzword, isn't it?
It is a buzzword.
Whereas really what it is secondary income.
Yeah, or just another thread of your business. Because if you run a business,
yes,
it doesn't really matter what it does and how many different things it does. It's still one business.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do now is that now I'm freeing up a bit of time. Now I can concentrate on other income streams. Now, initially those streams will be related to what I do. So it'll be online courses. It will be, a YouTube channel. It will be write a book. It will be things like that. But really, the sky's the limit. You could just do a right turn, Clyde, and you could do anything you wanted, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For you as the creative, because obviously we are speaking to a world of creative people right now.
Sure.
How connected do you still feel to your creative work now you are maybe less on the coalface?
Not very at all, really. That's really so the creative part for me now is finding creative ways to make income, to create income. So
Awesome.
not so the creative element for me is not being creative on projects. It's being finding creative ways of creating more income streams.
Mm.
So the group of freelancers that I work with are the real creative people on the ground level, to do with project delivery. And for me, it's just more. It's become more. Top level admin based. So it's a lot more CRM and a lot more system based and things like that. Than it is being creative on a project,
I get you. I get
which
you.
I'm cool with because I was always a marketing manager, not a graphic designer. I was a graphic designer once,
Yeah.
but I was always the management part. So all I'm doing is just drifting back towards that part of the job.
Mm. You used the word drifting there.
Yeah. So like, all right, being attracted back to the that part of the
I like
job.
that. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I much prefer to do the organising and the opportunity generating part now. So
Yeah.
so project management really, rather than the actual skills. I prefer to leave that to other people now.
Excellent.
I still have input clearly because
Oh
I'm,
yeah.
I'm the project manager, but the actual doing part, I don't really have much to do with anymore,
Mm. Fantastic.
and that
Sound
seems to work quite well actually. Yeah.
it sounds like you've hit your stride with it,
Hmm.
and the way that you speak to it as a application of your skills, it does sound like you're happy in your groove.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, the funny thing is that it was a big transition because moving from a salary to no salary,
Mm.
it was a bit easier for me because I still had a salary whilst I was building the business. But
Yep.
that's usually your first transition, and then transitioning from doing all of the work to having other people who are better at it than you do it
Mm.
is there's a huge benefit there for the outcome. But then also there's this transition period where I was making this much, and then when you get other people to do it, you start making this much because you have to pay them for their time, and then you're growing again. You're starting again basically. So you come down and then you grow back up again. With the ultimate outcome being earn the same or more, but without doing 90% of the work. So
Yes.
and I think I'm through that first part of the transition now. And now it's just it. What it's done is it's made me laser focused now. So basically, my entire day, all day, every day now is get more business, rather
All right.
than get business and then worry about how to fulfill it. It's just get more. So that's good. It's good to have a specific goal to work towards.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I
Mm.
think what helped get me through certainly the first year, and it still works now, is I fell into a funnel of sorts. I don't like the word funnel, but it is a funnel, and basically it was go to networking, meet lots of new people, arrange one-to-ones. Because again, this is funnily enough. Here's a pro tip. A lot of people fail at networking because they go to a room of 40 people. They do their pitch 30 seconds. They speak in a side room with maybe four, five, and then they don't try and follow up with anyone else. Yeah, and so then
Yeah.
you leave, and then when you go back, you're hoping that the same people are there again. So
Yeah.
what I do is I make sure that I either the network provides the contact details or I screen grab, and then what I do is connect with every single person individually, to get a one-to-one, and then all I do, pro tip number two, I talk about them. I don't even talk unless they ask. I don't talk about me. I've lost count of the number of one-to-ones I've had where I've never spoken about myself or what I do.
Mm. Same.
And the reason behind that is purely because A, I'm interested in the person and what they do, but B, it makes them feel important, you know, which is what you want from a one-to-one. Then I ask them if they wouldn't mind me adding them to LinkedIn, which usually 99% is fine. And then all I do then is provide value from that point onwards. So they're now in my little circle of influence, and then
Mm.
all I do is just provide posts that are valuable to people. And I just work on the 5-to-1 ratio for 4 pieces of value, 1 ask. And then I just do that again and again and again and again, keep putting more and more people in and again and again. And then what that does is it generates a lot of referrals. Keeps you front of mind. People
Yeah.
know that you're helpful. They know what you do. I'm sharing reviews, so case studies, all that kind of stuff, and then they trust you. And then if they're out there talking to their contacts, one person could have 10,000 contacts, so they're
Yeah.
out there having their conversations. You're front of mind. Someone needs marketing. There you go, and it's a good system.
It sounds like a very, very effective approach. And as a serial networker,
Mm-hmm.
um, I can speak to that. Is the follow up is everything.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
follow up is everything. And you are right. A lot of people just don't
No,
think, and they don't
again,
think that they can.
it's the difference of mindset. So think
Yeah.
back to the employee versus the freelancer.
Yeah.
Um, the employee mindset is probably the person who doesn't follow up.
Yeah.
The solopreneur or the freelancer or whatever is thinking, well, I've spent 2 hours here and there's 40 people that I can engage with, but I've only spoken to 4. I need to talk to all of them,
Mm.
and that's the difference.
It's it's an acknowledgement maybe then that you actually have skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And that you haven't just signed up to go along and waste 2 hours.
exactly, because 2 hours for somebody
Mm.
like yourself,
Yeah.
that's an expensive 2 hours.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like we bottom it down to hourly rates and day. I mean, I think we get to a point where hourly rates aren't a thing, but if we
No.
boil it down, yeah, that's
Mhm.
an expensive 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
You've
that's right.
got to get the most
And
from it.
so, the more proactive you could be with that situation, the better, I think.
Absolutely.
But it's funny because a lot of people you'll tell them that and they'll be like, well, obviously, but I guarantee they're not doing it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I think that is a very firm point to underline on.
sure.
Is you just need to do it.
Yeah, yes. Well, this is it. Yeah, yeah. And funnily enough, there was a book that I read yonks ago, and this was when I was first thinking about a business. So we're talking 10 years ago probably, and it was No Excuses.
Yeah.
And I think it's Brian. I'm pretty sure it's Brian Tracy. And that book, basically, if you're stuck in an employee mindset and you read that book, you're like, my God, I'm wasting my life.
Yeah.
That's what you'll get out of it. And every single page of that book is do something, do something, do something, take action. If you don't take action, nothing happens.
Absolutely.
And if you just apply that to everything you do, then stuff happens.
Amazing. Well, we will link to that book in the show notes because
Yeah, 100%.
that
Yeah,
is what we do. I mean, that rings very true. But one of my favourite songs, actually, by a band called The Scratch, they have a song called Excuse, and the lyric goes, there's always an excuse until you become okay with just going for it.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's exactly that.
Yeah. But I mean, there is a psychology of failure as well. Remember
Yeah.
that people won't try something because they're like, oh, well, what happens if I don't? What happens if I fail at it? It's like,
And
guess what? Nothing.
yeah,
Do it again.
because you haven't. And
Yeah, exactly. You failed if you don't try it.
yes, absolutely. All right, my friend. Where can people find you, and what can they do if they would like to work with you?
So you can get me at our website, which is marketingoutsource.co.uk. Took me quite a long time to find that domain, I can tell you. And then also you can find me personally on LinkedIn. And if you are interested in working with me or even just having a chat one-to-one, as you've heard, I do like a one-to-one. On my website, there's in the top header, there's a button with my online diary, so you can book me up for a chat anytime you like.
Amazing. Well, I would thoroughly encourage anyone listening to do that because This has been an absolute joy, Lenny. Thank you so much
It has been a
for
blast.
sharing your experience, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.